So when I was 12 years old, I was a freshman in high school. And at that time in life, so many things are happening and changing and going on. And the fact that I was 12 as a high schooler was already kind of overwhelming for me. It was very socially awkward. And it was just a different dynamic for me. And I just remember going through my freshman and sophomore years of high school. And, I did band and I was involved in sports. I did track and cross country and had fun, but I always felt a little out of place. I had friends, but I just still never really felt like I fit in. And then my junior year of high school is when things really changed. My mom and dad they just weren't getting along as good as they could have been, and they separated for a little while, and I started to feel very out of control. A lot of my friends were starting to date, and I wasn't. And so I thought maybe there was something wrong with me, that boys didn't like me, I was ugly, I was not enough. And so something in my head told me that if I were to lose weight, that maybe I would be more attractive to someone. Just fast forward to where I made the decision that I was just not going to eat as much as I should. And so I would wake up every morning before school, I would eat a cup of yogurt, and I would go immediately downstairs to exercise that exact amount of calories off. And then I'd go to school, and for lunch at school I'd have maybe a soft pretzel, and for dinner I'd have something like a bowl of rice and something small. And anyway, I started to lose weight, a significant amount of weight, of course, because I was still doing high school athletics and band and whatnot. And shortly after I started to lose some weight, I got a boyfriend. And I guess you could say that in my head, I kind of put the two together and said, wow, lose weight, get a boyfriend. Wow, okay. And then that semester of high school, I started to get I had all straight A's. And so in my mind, I correlated weight loss with success. And so I continued to lose weight and lose weight and lose weight until the point that I got down to a size 14 child's pant. And I was small. I was very sick. My hair started to get real brittle. My nails were getting brittle. My friends started to notice things, and they actually went and spoke to the guidance counselors for me. And the guidance counselors called my parents and said that they were concerned for my health and well-being. And when I came home from school that day, my mom and dad sat down with me, and we had a long talk. And they were sad. I mean, my mom was crying, and she was not sure what was going on with me. And so I felt their hurt, and we made an agreement that I would sit down for family meals every night, and we would eat together. And I would sit down, and I'd have a full family meal with my mom and my dad. It was just me and my parents. I was an only child. And we would eat. And then conveniently after dinner, I would go and I would take my dog Chip out for a walk. And as I would do that, I would go far into the woods, and that's when I became bulimic. So before I was anorexic, not eating, and now I became bulimic, where I would get rid of the food that I ate. And so I just kept getting sicker and sicker. I started to sneak my mom's diet pills that I knew where she hid them, and it just started getting really bad. And so finally my mom took me to a doctor, and she said that, the doctor said that she was really concerned about me, and she said, do you want to die? She said that to me, do you want to die? And I was kind of like shocked at what she asked. Like, no, I didn't want to die. I just wanted to be successful. I just wanted to be liked. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to be popular. And so no, I didn't want to die. But she explained to me that if I kept going like this, that my organs could start shutting down, that my body would just not function like it was supposed to. My heart could really suffer. And then she said, even if I were to survive that, there could be a possibility that I might never be able to have children. And that just really hit home for me for some reason. I just thought, no, I can't have kids. Ugh. And so I remember going home from the doctor's appointment and thinking about things throughout the day. And then that night is when I first really talked to God. I'd always had a faith. I went to church with my family every Sunday, went to Sunday school and things like that. But I think at the age of, I would have been 14 at this time, I think that's when I really had my very first deep conversation with God. And I remember that night just sitting in my bed saying to God, please don't let me die. I don't want to die. And just help me through this. I guess almost like a bargain with God. Like if you let me live, I promise I will serve you. I will honor you. And however that looked, I wasn't even sure how that looked, but I just felt like I needed to tell him that. Like, God, I am broken. I don't know what to do. And I'm really scared. And I know you are the one who controls life and death. And so I don't want to die. And so this was, like I said, my first real deep conversation I've ever had with God. And I don't know what happened. I truly can't explain it because it's not tangible. I don't know how I can put it into words, but that next morning there was a peace that came over me that I cannot explain. And I remember feeling this deep release. And I went to my mom that morning. She was already downstairs in the kitchen and she was having a cup of coffee or something at the table. And I said, Mom, I'm really hungry. I said, could you make me some pancakes and bacon? And she looked at me like, what? You want to eat? Because it'd been months. It'd been months since I really wanted to eat anything. And she got up from the table, and I just remember her embracing me and holding me and saying, yes, yes, yes. And she called my dad. She said, David, come down here. And so my dad came down. He always slept in on Saturdays. He came down, and my mom told him what had happened, and we all hugged. And, with all the trouble my parents had been having too, it was really neat to see my parents connecting, because they had separated for a little while, which was very stressful. And I think something that had also pushed me to try to gain control of my life. And in my head, I felt like controlling my weight was a way to control my life. And when I realized that ultimately I needed to release control into God's hands, and that was where the revelation came. God is the one in control, and He loves me. And I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to be a certain size to be successful, because if I am in God's will, then I am a success. And when God looks at me, I'm His child. I'm His perfect child, perfectly made. And that night that I talked to God, I realized how much I needed Him. And that next morning, I realized how much He loved me, because He took all my shame and all my guilt and all my sorrow away. And I remember feasting that morning. I had pancakes and bacon, and I ate like a queen. And I won't say that everything changed, like that forever and stayed that way, because of course I had some setbacks and whatnot. But that was the beginning of my relationship with the Lord. That was the beginning of me submitting to His control, but where He gave me total freedom, if that makes sense. I submitted to Him that He was the one truly in control of my life, and I recognized His power in my life. But then that's when He gave me ultimate freedom to just be me.